Everybody, thank you for tuning in and watching today. We're going to have a number of speakers come up for Transformation Tag Team Tuesday. Did I say that right? Okay, so make sure you share. And right now, Elegance is getting ready to speak with you. He has his program ready. And thank you for watching.
Hey, blessings everyone. I am Elegance Champagne, founder of Abstract Thoughts of a Transition Mind. And today's Tuesday, so just want to give a shout out to the Team Transformational Tuesday with Queen Mother. So guys, thank you for tuning in. Thank you, Vanessa, for just giving us this opportunity as well for this platform. So guys, I know you guys may have been watching for the Tag Team Transformational Tuesday, and I know you guys have been kind of like keeping up to date with what's going on. So this is a little something new that we decided to basically start trying out. And right now, just going to jump into it. The topic that I picked today was the elemental structure to relationships, the elemental keys in the structure to relationships. And the reason why I chose it is because one thing about abstract thoughts is it's really taking concepts and ideas of different things that we may come across every day in life, and we actually show the similarities in it's actually relevant and how it relates to us as a people to help us develop a better sense of character, and then also developing other things and establishments that is known to us, basically here on Earth. So one of the main things that I love speaking about are about elements. And for those of you who may not be familiar with elements, the elements I'm speaking of is every particular element, such as the elements from the periodic table of elements, such as hydrogen, oxygen, and so forth. And then you also have the elements such as like the seasonal elements or natural elements like earth, wind, fire, air, and so forth. But now there's also another take when it comes to relationships. When we start speaking about relationships and the nature of structures for relationships. What do I mean by that? Speaking of an atom, just picture an atom. For those of you who may understand how an atom is constructed of, it's consisted of three parts, which is a proton, neutron, and electron. Those three components is what actually creates that one atom, that whole unit that's right there. But one thing I've noticed is the atom itself and the science, it actually is showing us how to have a relationship, whether we're around positive people, neutral people, or even negative people. That's a representation of the proton, neutron, and electron. Proton represents the positive charge. The neutron represents a neutral state. And then the electron represents an electrical charge, which is the negative aspect of that. But it's amazing how when we look at the structure of it, the center of the atom is actually, you have the nucleus that's right there. But right there in the center, you also have the protons, which is the positive charge, which to me, it represents how God has constructed everything in the universe with order and structure. And when you look at the proton and you look at the nucleus inside of the atom, it shows that those that is closest to us should be those positive people. It should be the positive charge that should be closest to our hearts, to our center. And then also you have the valential shell, which is an invisible layer, so to speak, that allows the electrons to basically stay at bay, where it doesn't interfere with the positive charge, or in other words, the positivity that is in our heart. But it keeps it at bay just for us to be able to observe it, because it goes over and around under. So it's just there to signify that negative things, yes, they do exist. However, it's not for us to take ownership of it or take it as a whole as though that is actually us. It's there for us to acknowledge for what it is, and at the same time, it's for us to see what it is we can learn from that. Now, excuse me. You can't interrupt it. Sorry for the interruption, everyone. So once again, as I was speaking back to with the neutron, that right there is also in the center, which it represents a neutral state. In other words, that represents people in our lives that maintain a neutral character, a neutral attitude, where it's not the worst, but it's not the best, but they also give you a sense of reality. Like, this is what it is. This is where you can go if you don't do this. This is where you can go if you do this. Is there as a representation as a person, basically that ear for you. So where if you need to vent or if you just need like new ideas, but to still maintain who you are without too much pressure being applied. So I look at that, I see how all these things, there is three separate things, but they work collectively as a unit to actually create that one atom. And that one atom, when we look at a periodic table of elements, any element, an element is the simple building blocks of matter, which means it's consisted of that same exact molecular structure, that same exact atom over and over and over and over. So you may start with one, for instance. We'll say like this flower, for instance. It consists of maybe just one petal. But when you actually add more petals, more and more and more, it's actually what's creating the actual flower, the structure of the flower. It's many different molecules, but they're all the same, and they're just working collectively as one to create that image that we can physically see. So that's how the atoms work. They work collectively as a relationship with one another. They learn the positive aspects of each other. They learn the neutral aspects of each other. They learn the negative aspects of each other, and they show us who we are when they work collectively. So to jump ahead, guys, everything in the universe is working in vibration. It's working as far as with movement. In other words, that's what it really means. So in relationships, it's not structured for it to just stay at one spot. It's not structured just to stay just at one vibration level. That's where you stay. You maintain who you are, you maintain at that vibration, but if you want to be successful, you have to learn how to create relationships with other people. And that's where we get the combinations, such as like compounds in the scientific aspect, where it's taking one atom that's consisted of the same exact thing, such as hydrogen we'll speak of, and then you also have oxygen. These are two different elements, these are two different atoms, but they're actually collectively now, which actually creates H2O, which is what you guys may know as water. Now, water is an essential element needed for our survival. Every living organism in existence that we know of, majority of the time, it needs that element of water in order for it to sustain itself. So that's the same way with us in life. We have to understand where are we, what type of element we are, and the relationship. But in order to do that, you have to know thyself, in other words. So you have to know if you're a hydrogen. You have to know you have to know that you're human, in other words. You have to know that you're also spirit at the same time. You have to know these things in order for you to be able to know who you are as yourself, as an element, as a creation, and then bond and merge with other people to create a family, so to speak. So this is the breakdown I'll give to simplify it after that I said. As I mentioned, guys, it's abstract thoughts of a transitioned mind, many different ideas and concepts, and you bring it together collectively to show you what I'm speaking of. So here we go with a family. This is how an atom is structured, and even business, you can use this model. You have a man, you have a woman, and then once you end up creating, you have a child. Before you can understand you being a man, you have to understand yourself being a human being. Once you understand you being a human being, you have to also take in consideration that you are also a spiritual being. When you understand these two components, this brings you into creating a new establishment of life, which creates you, which is this third aspect. So when you look at that, that creates you as a human being. So understand you're a human being and a spiritual being at the same time. But now what creates you and separates you from being male and female? That's a whole nother topic with the science, but when we simplify it, you'll see, okay, what is a man known to do? The roles of a man is usually to create a form of structure, a form of protection, a form of security, just to make sure that he's able to basically maintain his territory, maintain himself, and then also to protect others that may not be able to at that moment in time. So that's a basic structure as far as for a man, especially even in a relationship where a man is known to also provide. What am I getting at by saying this? The man has to know who he is. He has to know the roles that he is supposed to fulfill before he ends up going on and taking on a woman or a female. A female, she has to understand who she is as well, which are the main roles of a female. One of the main roles of a female we also know is she has the ability to create new life. She has the ability to reproduce. But in order for her to do that, she has to learn who she is as a person, as a spiritual being as well, just as a man. This is just the human level. But now we're going into titling as far as her being a female, which separates her from being a female versus a male. So those are some of the things that separates her from being a female and a male. She has the ability to create. She's carrying eggs within her to be able to be fertilized to bring new life into this world or a new establishment. It's the same thing when we look at it where with our bodies being who we are, such as elegance. Now this is who I am after understanding me being a spiritual being and a human being as well. So when you have a family, you have male, you have female, you have man, now you have woman. Now you're going into the next characteristics, which is a structure, which creates him being a husband. What makes a husband? He has to understand the basic roles as far as a male. Now he has to understand communication on this level, such as communication of how to effectively communicate with other people, but now the opposite sex, which means now he has to know not only just himself, he has to learn the characteristics and the qualities of a female. Excuse me, may I get some water if possible? Thank you very much. Excuse me, everyone. So, once a male understands that, and he understands that structure and the communication aspect with merging with another person, a woman, a female, then now they begin to court with each other. They begin to exchange information with one another, then exchange ideas and characteristics. And once they end up understanding each other with the characteristics, that is like, once they understand, sorry, one. So once we understand the structures and the characteristics of a man understanding his characteristics with the woman, now he can actually go into creating a family, which is the third component. So once again, to backtrack, we have male, we have female, we have human being, we have a spiritual being, and now we actually have self. And now once we get past that part, now we're going to establishing a connection, which is husband, which is wife. Now once you have a husband and wife, these are two different structures that I mentioned. Now what comes after that? The third component of this atom, the third component of the atom, as far as which creates this establishment, this family, which creates a child. Now you have three components, and this is what creates a actual family. So now you have male, female, husband, wife, and now you have child. This is a new life, and now it's up to them to be able to educate that child, to teach them who they are, teach them the insides and the out. So that's where they end up passing on their communication to create something else, which is another group. So symbolically speaking, the periodic table elements, different groups, different categories, different elements. Now this is a new element to the periodic table of elements, a new element to the establishment, a new element to the family, which is creating an establishment. Or you can use this model as well, where not only is this creating a new family, as we all know, as I mentioned, this is abstract thought, so bear with me. We're going into where now you understand the structures of a human being, yourself, and a spiritual being, a family, and now you're going to look at this model and see how these things actually have comparisons with actual business. So majority of people understand where when you first start a business, usually the least amount of people that you need is a least amount of 3 people. That allows you to get your LLC or your nonprofit, or just to be incorporated, period, just to be registered as a business. You need 3 right there to create that establishment. So why is it 3? Why are we constantly seeing this number 3? Same thing in the spiritual realm, with for those of you who follow scripture or the universal structures with my belief, which is God, Jesus Christ, the Most High, consisted of 3: God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. All 3 creating what? This one being. Same thing. Man consisted of a name, a spirit, a body. Okay, there we go. Consisted of 1-3, a business. You have the head, you have the CEO, you have the COO, or so to speak, and you have like an assistant or so forth. Those 3 main things right there is what's creating a business. What do they have in common? Relationships, communication, establishments, knowing themselves, knowing their roles, knowing what to fulfill in order for them to be able to merge and partner with another business, another family, or anything. It's consisted and constructed of 3, and it's very stable, it's very balanced. And when you do that and you see it, you notice each and every angle. When you look at 3, we look at a triangle, it's consisted of 3 points. It's consisted of 3 bases. You have one base, you have another base, you have another base. 3. No matter which way you flip-flop or to try to make it fall, it's going to be able to stand up, just like this phone. Has 3 components for it to be able to stand up. If it falls back, it has legs to stand on. If you flip it on the other way, same thing. You flip it upside It's going to still have structure. It still has a base. So in other words, these are the blueprints. These are elements, the simplest building blocks of matter. No matter how much you break it down, as long as you understand these three components, you'll be able to recreate. You'll be able to establish relationships. You'll understand each other better. You'll be able to see what roles you were supposed to play. You'll know where you need to improve in. You'll know how to be able to reach out to other people to expand and expand and expand. Because we're not put on this earth just to be by ourselves. We live interdependent lives, and it's there for us to be able to learn from each other so we can expand and just help out humanity, spirituality, the spiritual realm as well, and even business. So guys, I'm not going to keep you long. I know it's kind of like all over the place, like hopping from here, here, and here, and here, but that's how it is in the universe. Thing is so big, it's so vast, but we have to be able to pick a focal point. We have to pick a focus point to where we can understand. Where does this fit in? Where can this be applied? What can we learn? What does science have to do with relationships? What does science have to do with spirituality? What do these chromosomes, what does any of this have to do with anything that I'm talking about? It's showing structure. It's showing relationship. It's showing communication. It's showing you new establishments. It's showing you the basics for you to be able to go on and just expand. So guys, I'm just going to leave it at that. Just definitely look forward to next week, following week, when we are doing this again. Once again, Elegance Champagne, founder of Abstract Thoughts of a Transitioned Mind, VP with Minds Up with my beautiful queen Takia Diamond, and also part of a phenomenal tag team transformational team by Queen Mother and Michael. So guys, thank you very much and have a blessed one.
Again, thank you for watching Transformation Tag Team Tuesday. Next up, we have Takia Diamond. She's going to talk to you guys. And she has her program ready. Thank you for watching.
Cause in this moment I got shit on my mind. Just to test a nigga hard, I put that bait on the line. Tryna level balance.